Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. I am here this morning to share another really simple and relatively quick recipe that is going to be great for your joints. But first, before we get started, for those of you who are not familiar with who I am, maybe you're new to my community, my name is Jessica Melnick. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, the founder of the Anti-Arthritis Method, the host of the Happy Joints Arthritis Solutions Group, and I help both women and men with various forms of arthritis get back to living the way that they want to, not the way that they have to. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a recipe that I found on an amazing website called Lichen Paleo Lovin AIP. Now, lichen is spelled Lichen. My understanding is that the author of this site has an autoimmune condition called lichen sclerosis, and so hence where that name came from. So she's got fabulous recipes on her website that are all joint friendly, so check it out if you are interested in some new recipe ideas. So this one I wanted to share with you. We were sharing it actually within my private client group as well. One of our other members came across it and I gave it a try this past weekend. It is absolutely delicious. I do recommend a couple different changes if you don't have an air fryer because it calls for an air fryer. I actually just cooked it in my oven on the convection setting. So I took the skin off the chicken just because I'm not a huge fan of chicken skin. But by all means, if you do have an air fryer, it would likely crisp up quite nicely in there. But I cooked it in the oven. I removed the skin and I used the oil and, of course, the seasonings. But if I was to do it again, I probably would not use the oil. I think just dipping the chicken in the seasonings before baking would be wonderful. So you can play with that a little bit as you see fit. But I'm going to talk about today. Haven't made a whole bunch of chicken recipes or poultry recipes so far on this channel. So I wanted to talk a little bit about quality of chicken and what to look for. In my program, we talk a lot about food quality, how to go about making decisions in terms of when you're grocery shopping, what to look for. Of course, I know a lot of us can't buy 100% organic everything. But there's some ways that we can make better choices for our budget as well. So I'm going to talk about some of those differences in chicken quality, what to look for, you might want to avoid. And also I'm going to be talking about another key ingredient in this recipe called nutritional yeast. Not a lot of people are familiar with this. I didn't know about it until probably a few years ago, but it really comes in handy. It offers a really kind of interesting cheesy taste to savory recipes. I've also made a healthier peanut butter cup recipe that called for nutritional yeast years ago as well that really enhanced the flavor. So I'm going to talk about the nutritional benefits of that as well. So let's get started here. And I will be linking the recipe below this post. So you'll be able to hop over to that website and give it a try. Check out the photos as well. Oh my gosh, it looks so delicious. And it really is. And it was quick. I made it in about half an hour. So really nice, quick, easy weeknight friendly meal. So let's talk about quality of chicken. So I recommend pasture raised and or organic chicken thighs or chicken period. This recipe calls for chicken thighs. So let's talk about what free range actually means. So in the US, the definition is that free range chickens are chickens that come from producers who demonstrate that their chickens have been allowed to access the outside. Free roaming is another common term used interchangeably with the term free range. And typically, chickens that are raised using free range methods have continuous access to the outdoors for more than 51% of their lives. So that's kind of the technical definition. And free range chickens are able to roam around, get fresh air and sunshine, and have contact with other chickens. So it is a pretty general range, though, and it does vary from country to country, of course, based on farming laws and practices. So I also recommend if maybe check out your farmer's market if you're buying meat and poultry and fish, depending on where you live. And you can talk directly to the people, the producers who are at those markets, and just get a better sense of their farming practices and how their chickens were actually raised. I know here where I live, our farmers markets have very knowledgeable people. If it's not the actual producers at the farmers market, they have staff who are also very knowledgeable who are there, and they can tell you the details of this. So, for example, one of the farms that I purchase meat from is they are not certified organic, but they are a boutique farm where they have very ethical practices in terms of how their animals are treated. So being certified organic can be quite a cumbersome process. So even some of those producers are maybe working towards being certified organic, but have not reached that stage yet. But they still are giving their animals really good quality feed and or space to roam and be pastured to have a good life, and that they're not being pumped full of antibiotics or hormones and things like that. So those are things that you can ask different producers, local or close to local producers as well, so that you have a better idea of what you're actually consuming. So certified organic usually, and has to mean, I shouldn't say usually, when something is certified organic, it also typically means that these chickens are also pasture raised or free range or free run. So that is a really good indicator. If you're getting organic, you're usually getting kind of two in one, but being free range doesn't necessarily mean organic. So again, maybe talking to the producers, exploring a little bit more about how these animals were raised. Now, one of the reasons why I am talking about chicken or sharing a chicken recipe is that protein is super, super important to have in a significant amount in our daily diets. And we need this for healing. We need this for tissue repair. It's super, super important, especially as we age. So one chicken breast alone can supply around about 52% of a lot of us our daily protein needs. And it is, like I said, so crucial for the health of our bodies. So protein is often referred to as the building block of life. So when you don't get an adequate amount of protein in your diet, your cells can have a really hard time growing and repairing themselves as they should. So if you are on a healing journey, if you are experiencing arthritis and or other autoimmune conditions, protein is really, really important for healing. So let's talk a little bit more between, some of the dangers between conventionally raised chicken and why you might want to avoid that. So a lot of chickens, unfortunately, I think the US has a bad reputation for this, unfortunately, is having factory farms. So a lot of this means that these chickens are caged, they are cramped together in small spaces, they are not outside. And what ends up happening is that disease can proliferate, bacteria, viruses, all these things. And not only is this not a good life for the chickens, it's also not good for us to eat that meat, because they need to be fed a steady stream of antibiotics in order for them to not be sick in this kind of unsanitary environment. So when we eat chickens who have been given antibiotics, we are also getting these antibiotics. And this can be a problem because there are a lot of things nowadays, are a lot of diseases that are happening, or superbugs per se, that are antibiotic resistant because there is an overuse of antibiotics. And so we do not want to consume extra antibiotics, especially if we don't need them for our own health and wellness. So just something to think about. Now, again, like I said, free range chicken is not necessarily organic, but organic chicken is basically required to be raised in a free range manner. So this is really nice. Like I said, you can get kind of two benefits in one. So organic chickens can only eat certified organic feed, and they're not allowed to be given antibiotics or hormones, but they are permitted to receive preventative vaccines. And organic chickens must have the opportunity for exercise, freedom of movement, and reduction of stress. So really important to know. And by USDA standards, free range chickens have to have the ability to go outdoors for some amount of time. Organic and free range chickens often have access to a pasture. And to define pasture, it's typically a plot of land with grass for grazing for them. So the majority of conventional chicken comes from these factory farms I was telling you about. So this means that chickens are packed into cages, which leads to unsanitary and unhealthy conditions very quickly. And this confinement also means that these chickens are more likely to get sick, which is why the majority of conventional chickens are pumped with antibiotics for most, if not all, of their lives. And these antibiotics do not go away and can still be found in the chicken meat offered at your supermarket and your restaurants, depending on where they get their food from. So here are a couple other terms to look for also when you're shopping. So the word fresh, and comes down to marketing, of course. The word fresh just means that the chicken has never been frozen. So that has nothing to do with the quality of the meat. Natural often means that chicken does not contain any preservatives or artificial ingredients, but most chicken or meat that you buy doesn't contain artificial ingredients and preservatives anyways. So to me, it's just kind of this term that a lot of people hear and they're like, oh, it must be good because it's natural. It doesn't mean much. Farm raised also doesn't mean much because chickens can be raised in factory farms, and those are not great environments, as I have talked about. So hormone free can also be a great term, but it doesn't mean anything because chicken is raised and not legally allowed to contain hormones, at least in the US. So having hormone-free chicken doesn't mean they've done anything additional to provide the quality of the meat. Antibiotic-free is important because conventional chickens are commonly given antibiotics, but organic chickens are not allowed to be given antibiotics. So just something to think about when you are purchasing chicken. Things to look for in quality. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. Maybe free range is something that you can feel good about. Likely doesn't have as many antibiotics in it because it has had some time, or at least 51% of its time has been allowed to be outside, as opposed to being confined to smaller cages with other animals. And like I said, organic is a great choice because often means it is also free range and it cannot have antibiotics in it. So let's talk a little bit about nutritional yeast. Like I said, nutritional yeast, I don't think is super common. A lot of people don't necessarily know about it, or they see it and they're like, what the heck is that? And what do we do with it anyways? So in this case, with this recipe that I'm sharing with you today, nutritional yeast is kind of like a flavor enhancer, but it also has some really great nutrition in it as well. And what it is that it is actually grown on mixtures of cane and beet molasses. So it is fermented and then it is harvested, washed, pasteurized, dried, and packaged. So I usually see it in flakes, but it also comes in granules or powder form. And it just adds a nice kind of flavor enhancing, maybe cheesy, nutty flavor to things. Some other names that it's known as are Nooch, Yeshi, Savory Yeast Flakes, and Brewfax. So I've just always known it as nutritional yeast, but those are some other names that it might be found as. So it is known also for it having high nutritional value. So for one, fiber, complete protein, which is amazing because most plant foods don't have complete protein, and also lots of B vitamins and zinc. So let's look at some of these amazing nutrients that are found in nutritional yeast. And one thing that's really interesting is it has the compounds beta-1,3-glucan, trehalose, I don't know if I'm saying that right, mannan, and glutathione, all of which are associated with enhanced immune function. So if you have an immune condition, or if you have inflammation in the body, you want to have immune enhancing nutrients. So some studies have actually found that these compounds could help reduce the risk of infection in pigs by blocking harmful bacteria from attaching to the lining of the intestines. And one study even found that beta-glucan can be useful in the treatment of lymphoma in mice by decreasing tumor growth. So pretty crazy. And nutritional yeast also contains a good amount of iron and also selenium, which repairs cell damage. and zinc, which aids in tissue repair and wound healing. So, all these amazing nutrients are wonderful if you are on a healing journey, if you have an inflammatory condition like arthritis or any other autoimmune condition. Nutritional yeast also has antiviral and antibacterial properties. It has been proved to be one of the best remedies for chronic candida symptoms, which is a specific type of yeast infection that can become chronic and persistent over time. And it has also shown to help fight off E. coli, salmonella, and staphylococcus bacteria. So, pretty incredible. And also high in protein. Like I said, this is unusual for plants to have complete protein, but it is a complete protein containing at least 9 of the 18 amino acids that our body cannot produce. So it's a great way to easily boost your protein intake, which, like I keep mentioning over and over again, we definitely need to make sure that we are getting adequate protein in our diet if we are suffering from any type of inflammatory condition or on any type of health journey. And it also promotes healthy hair, skin, and nails. So it contains all the B vitamins, which of course are great for these things. And all of these vitamins benefit our hair, our skin, our nails. And biotin, which is a B vitamin, has been shown to support healthy hair, skin, and nails. So there's studies to prove that as well. And not only do B vitamins help with our hair, skin, and nails, it also helps to slow signs of aging, such as redness and skin spots. And niacin, which is a B vitamin found in nutritional yeast, is also often used to treat chronic acne and improve overall skin health. So, again, who knew these weird little flakes could be so beneficial for us to eat? And they are used in this recipe. This is super delicious, like I said, super quick and easy. I'm going to post the link for the recipe below this post as well as in my YouTube channel in the description so that you easily can be sent to this amazing website with directly to this recipe. It's took me about, oh gosh, like half an hour, 35 minutes tops with the preparation and making it. So, and like I said, if you don't have an air fryer, you can easily cook it in the oven. It probably would take about 40 minutes to cook if you are just using a conventional oven. If you have a convection oven, it takes about 25-ish minutes of cooking time. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you try it out. And I will be back next week with another recipe to share. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.